She seemed like she was having a hard time fitting in.
I don't remember many people asking them to hang out.
She took the breakup really hard.
Things weren't the same after she failed that first test.
He worried a lot about disappointing his parents.
He started having a hard time after he got bad news from home.
She started pulling away and wouldn't hang out anymore.
Every time I came home from class, she looked like she'd been crying.
I knew something was up when he gave away his grandpa's watch. He had always told me how much he loved it.
I was worried about him because he hardly ate and was always sleeping.
They even stopped doing the things they loved.
She started drinking almost every day.
He even tried to sell some of his stuff.
I also noticed that she posted weird messages on social media, like, soon this will all be over.
She said she just wished she could go to sleep and not wake up.
They said they were tired of feeling lonely.
She told me that she felt really hopeless about pulling her grade up.
He said he wished he could disappear so he wouldn't be a burden to his family.
He said that I didn't have to worry about him next semester.
Check for changes of mood. Check to see if they are in a good mood or in a depressed mood. Check and see if they are unable to focus on a specific topic. See if they feel left out. Check to see for frequent class absence or disappearance over extended periods. And most importantly, be aware if they mention anything about death or dying. How can you help and how can you take action? Express concern. Listen to your friend, classmate, or roommate with empathy and don't judge. And most importantly, tell them that they are not alone. If you or someone is suffering with mental health, Cabrini University is here to help. Cabrini offers counseling and psychological services known as CAPS. Their office hours are Monday to Friday from 8:30 to 4 o'clock p.m. They are located in Infante House on Residential Blade. To get to Infante House, you will go straight where the Holy Spirit Library is. Once you see the volleyball net, continue straight and you're going to make a left. Once you hit the left, you will see the sign Infante House and you could walk right in. Once you walk in, you will meet with Jen Gorman. Jen Gorman is the administrative assistant. She will make you sign in before your counseling meeting, and if you don't have an appointment, that's okay. You will only have 30-minute session time.
Gorman, I'm the administrative assistant of CAPS. I'm who you check in with when you first come in for your appointment, and then I'm going to pass you over to one of our counselors.
All the counselors at Cabrini University are good counselors. First, we have Brian Pechtel. Brian is an interim director and licensed psychologist. He joined Cabrini Counseling in August 2019. Brian appreciates the unique nature of each of his clients and thinks the beauty of therapy is tailoring his approach to each person he gets the opportunity to engage with clinically. We then have Hillary A. Graham. She is the licensed professional counselor. She is advanced training in treatment of anxiety, depression, trauma, family therapy, and career challenges transitions. Her main goal is to get to know one of her clients and be able to help. Don't be afraid to go to the counseling and psychological services. Here are some tips that can help.
We see a lot of experience around people not feeling, quite as happy as they once were. That we see a lot with regard to, those anxious symptoms. So a lot of physiological symptoms like feelings of nausea, feelings of like trembling, a lot of panic attacks, so chest tightness, shortness of breath. sweaty palms, some of the usual stuff that we associate with anxiety. But again, it really depends on what the person is coming in for, because the struggle from a depressive standpoint is going to look different from a struggle with, an anxious standpoint, which is going to look different than a struggle from a ADHD or concentration standpoint. So it's really dependent on what they're coming in for.
Value yourself. Treat yourself with kindness and respect, and avoid self-criticism. Taking care of yourself physically can improve your mental health, but be sure to eat healthy meals, drink plenty of water, exercise, which helps decrease depression and anxiety and improve moods, and getting enough sleep. Surrounding yourself with good people can also help you. People with strong family or social connections are generally healthier than those who lack a support network. Many of us get stressed easily, but like it or not, stress is part of our life. How to deal with stress? You can practice good coping skills, try 1-minute stress strategies, or try journal writing as a stress reducer.
Well, I mean, just a plug for therapy in general, right? Coming over to CAPS, if not CAPS, just, attending some form of therapy, I think is always helpful, whether it's individual, group, family. I think I obviously very much subscribe to the power of talk therapy for a lot of people. I think it can be incredibly helpful. On a more individual basis, there's breathing and meditation and mindfulness exercises. I think learning how to control your breath is a big one, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression. Being more mindful, we know the benefits of mindfulness in people's life and incorporating that. So there's a lot of stuff that people can do just right on YouTube or different apps that are really helpful with that. Getting involved, so finding a sense of community, whether that's just with the people on your floor, whether it's with your family, whether it's with a sports team, remaining kind of physically connected to people. Exercise, wildly important. I recommend that to almost everybody that's coming in with some form of, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression or something else, but physically getting the body moving can be a very natural medication in and of itself. So, I mean, any number of things, but journaling, that's another big one. So literally getting it kind of out of your head and on the paper. And then the final thing that I'll pitch for, they go hand in hand, but I would say expressing gratitude and finding the things that you're grateful for, and then engaging in self-compassion. So kind of treating yourself as if you would, a good friend. And if you kind of can adopt that mantra, I think that can be really helpful. I would say anything that I just alluded to, right? But I would say the number one thing would be deviations from the norm. So a lot of times people want to, with regard to let's take sleeping or eating, for example. People want to look at oh, they're eating more than usual or they're sleeping more than usual. But it's really not always just in one direction. If they're eating less or sleeping less, but just some kind of deviation from their norm. If they're not naturally a really excitable person that is really animated when they speak, them being a little bit more kind of neutral in their communication that might be something that I would go, oh, that person might be experiencing depression if there was a big change. But if that's their norm, then that isn't necessarily jumping out to me as the number one thing. Back to the sleep. Some people sleep, normally their sleep schedule is 5 to 6 hours. I'm not endorsing that, but that's how they get by. That's their norm. And then other people I know that come in sleep from 9 to 10 hours, and that's their norm. So there's stuff that I could recommend just as a clinical psychologist in terms of like national norms, but if somebody that sleeps 5 to 6 hours on usual is now sleeping anywhere from 10 to 11 to 12 hours, that's going to be something I notice, right? That's a deviation from the norm. And then vice versa, if somebody that normally sleeps 8 to 9 to 10 hours and now they're sleeping 1 or 2 hours tonight, that's going to be a big change. If you see somebody, if you see a friend stop eating, if you see a friend stress eat, as we put, and start to go into some of these more binge modes, that could be something. And then withdrawal and isolation, I think, are two of the other ones. So if normally a friend is very attached and communicative, and now all of a sudden you find them pulling away, not spending time with people, hiding away in their room, kind of not engaging in some of the things that they typically engage in, like they don't get pleasure out of some of the things that they typically got pleasure from. Those might be warning signs that I'd take a look into.
If you or someone you know is suffering with mental health, please speak up, ask for help, and use all the resources that are provided here at Cabrini University. If you are experiencing a mental health emergency, please contact 911 or go to your nearest emergency room. Or you can also contact Public Safety at 610-902-8111. Suicide and Crisis Lifeline 988, or you can text. And remember, being able to be your true self is one of the strongest components of good mental health.
We all have mental health challenges. That does not discriminate, rich, poor, black, white, across the spectrum. It's just something that is a human part of the experience. So the fact that it can impact each and any of us at any given time, so that we have to constantly be vigilant. The same way that we go to doctor offices for physical checkups, making mental health a part of our, just constant holistic exploration of how we're doing as people, and that you don't have to wait until you're at like a level 10 crisis to start, pursuing that or addressing that. Being proactive can be really, really helpful when it comes to our mental health. So rather than wait for it to get out of hand or wait for it to, enter into a zone of just real intensity, it doesn't have to get to that point, so you can kind of press the brakes before you get, into the accident, for lack of a better term.